Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A disposition to allow freedom of choice and behavior. A permissible difference, allowing some freedom to move within limits. The act of tolerating something. The power or capacity of an organism to tolerate unfavorable environmental conditions. Willingness to recognize and respect the beliefs or practices of others. A disposition to allow freedom of choice and behavior. An amount added or deducted on the basis of qualifying circumstances. An allowance for profit. A reserve fund created by a charge against profits in order to provide for changes in the value of a company's assets. A permissible difference, allowing some freedom to move within limits. An amount allowed or granted, as during a given period. Travel allowance. A sum granted as reimbursement for expenses. Put on a fixed allowance, as of food. The act of allowing. He objected to the allowance of smoking in the dining room. A permissible difference, allowing some freedom to move within limits. Of a ship or plane, sideways drift. Finance, the net sales minus the cost of goods and services sold. The amount of collateral a customer deposits with a broker when borrowing from the broker to buy securities. A permissible difference, allowing some freedom to move within limits. The boundary line or the area immediately inside the boundary. An amount beyond the minimum necessary. The margin of victory. The blank space that surrounds the text on a page. He jotted a note in the margin. Your usual mood. He has a happy disposition. An attitude of mind, especially one that favors one alternative over others. The act or means of getting rid of something. A natural or acquired habit or characteristic tendency in a person or thing. A swelling with a disposition to rupture. Your usual mood. An adjustment of the intervals, as in tuning a keyboard instrument, so that the scale can be used to play in different keys. Excessive emotionalism or irritability and excitability, especially when displayed openly. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. An activity that varies from a norm or standard. Discord that splits a group. An event that departs from expectations. The quality of being subject to variation. An official dispensation to act contrary to a rule or regulation, typically a building regulation. A zoning variance. The second moment around the mean. The expected value of the square of the deviations of a random variable from its mean value. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. A conflict of people's opinions or actions or characters. The speech act of disagreeing or arguing or disputing. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. A growing divergence of opinion. An infinite series that has no limit. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The act of moving away in different direction from a common point. An angle is formed by the divergence of two straight lines. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. An event that departs from expectations. A state of surviving, remaining alive. The power to withstand hardship or stress. The marathon tests a runner's endurance. The arrangement of the body and its limbs. He assumed an attitude of surrender. A complex mental state involving beliefs and feelings and values and dispositions to act in certain ways. He had the attitude that work was fun. A theatrical pose created for effect. The actor struck just the right attitude. Position of aircraft or spacecraft relative to a frame of reference, the horizon or direction of motion. A complex mental state involving beliefs and feelings and values and dispositions to act in certain ways. The mental attitude that something is believable and should be accepted as true. Acceptance of Newtonian mechanics was unquestioned for 200 years. A disposition to tolerate or accept people or situations. Banking. A time draft drawn on and accepted by a bank. The act of accepting with approval, favorable reception. The proposal found wide acceptance. Contract law. Words signifying consent to the terms of an offer, thereby creating a contract. The act of taking something that is offered. Her acceptance of the gift encouraged him. The state of being acceptable and accepted. Torn jeans received no acceptance at the country club. An inability to resist the gratification of whims and desires. Foolish or senseless behavior. The act of indulging or gratifying a desire. A disposition to yield to the wishes of someone. Too much indulgence spoils a child. The remission by the Pope of the temporal punishment in purgatory that is still due for sins even after absolution. In the Middle Ages, the unrestricted sale of indulgences by pardoners became a widespread abuse. Lightening a penalty or excusing from a chore by judges or parents or teachers. Mercifulness as a consequence of being lenient or tolerant. A disposition to yield to the wishes of someone. Lightening a penalty or excusing from a chore by judges or parents or teachers. Mercifulness as a consequence of being lenient or tolerant. A disposition to yield to the wishes of someone. Too much permissiveness. A disposition to tolerate or accept people or situations. Patient endurance, especially of pain or distress. A disposition to tolerate or accept people or situations. All people should practice toleration and live together in peace. Official recognition of the right of individuals to hold dissenting opinions, especially in religion. The amount that can be contained. The gas tank has a capacity of 12 gallons. An electrical phenomenon whereby an electric charge is stored. The susceptibility of something to a particular treatment. The power to learn or retain knowledge. In law, the ability to understand the facts and significance of your behavior. A specified function. He was employed in the capacity of director. Capability to perform or produce. Among his gifts is his capacity for true altruism. Computer science, the amount of information, in bytes, that can be stored on a disk drive. The capacity of a hard disk drive is usually expressed in megabytes. The maximum production possible. The plant is working at 80% capacity. Tolerance for alcohol. He had drunk beyond his capacity. Tolerance attributable to a lack of involvement. Non-participation in a dispute or war. pH value of 7. Tolerance attributable to a lack of involvement. The trait of being generous in behavior and temperament. An inclination to favor progress and individual freedom. The trait of being generous in behavior and temperament. An inclination to favor progress and individual freedom. An inclination to tolerate or overlook opposing or shocking opinions or behavior.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.